We are back with another knife unboxing. This time we have 7 Kizer knives to take a look at. So we have one fixed blade and a bunch of different folders. Since we have so many, we're not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and get started. Now the first knife we're going to take a look at, or knives I should say, are variations of what they're calling the Momo. Now the Momo has already been released and it was a premium knife. These are budget-oriented versions of the knife. So sub $100, we have micarta, we have aluminum bolsters, and we have Nitro V blade steel. So we have the larger version, which is a 4.1 inch blade, and then we have the smaller version, which is a 3.2 inch blade. This time it's got Ultim and anodized aluminum bolster and backspacer. I'm going to point out at this point, I don't like knives that fall over standardized legalities when it comes to blade length. Like 4.1, you're asking for trouble, right? Anytime 4-inch blade laws come up, you're technically running a knife that's not allowed, theoretically. And the same thing is true for something just over 3 inches. There's more places you can carry a knife if it's less than 3 inches. Many government facilities limit your knife blade up to 3 inches, even if the local laws are different. That's true in Virginia. And it's something that, even though will probably never come up, if you get in trouble for something else, it's just another thing they'll add on, which is why I just don't agree with, just designing it for the sake of design. Put that context into it. I think it's really important. It's not really as bad here with the Mini Momo because 3.2, you're starting to get into that realm where we're almost at a point where the extra length does something. And in a blade like this, where your hand comes out of the way and you actually have a lot more cutting edge, it probably matters more on this knife, that little extra length, than it would on some others. It's because it has this leading edge that extends past the handle, so you actually have more of the cutting edge hit the surface before you actually hit it with your knuckles. So I like both of these designs. The front flipper is put out really, really far. So if you are not very good at front flipping, you'll have no trouble with these knives whatsoever. Now, action is really good. You'll notice that it comes down and correctly falls onto my thumb without any risk of me being cut. So I really like that. And that's important to note because the action is really, really good on these. So when you disengage the lock, keep your fingers stationary and then move them out of the way. And there you go. So really cool designs. Very, very popular, which is why they brought them back in the budget form. So if you're looking for something either in the small or the large, they are available. Now going up to one of their premium offerings, we have the, I want to say Feeweed. I don't like this name at all, just for the record. S45 VN on this, and check out the blade. I love this so much. I love the polished DLC they do on this. If any chance, if you're ever going to buy a premium knife from Kizer, you need to buy whatever it is in the polished DLC. That's all I got to say. If you're going to buy a premium, you want that polished DLC. It's just so good. I guarantee that this camera does not do it justice. Gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. So we have fat carbon inlays on this. Very interesting design. We have a cool aluminum backspacer, milled titanium pocket clip. Kind of the same tie-dye fat carbon on the other side. And one thing I want to pay close attention to, this is got some of my favorite style thumb studs. I love triangular thumb studs. I just feel like they launch and they're always angled perfectly for my thumb. Just so good. So it is a frame lock. It is also a front flipper. Jimping on this is actually pretty good. The other ones like the Momo weren't as good. Look at that. The jimping all the way goes all the way around. So this gets an A+ on the jimping category when it comes to front flipper. That's the way it's supposed to be. So whoever designed this knows what they're doing. I'm very pleased with the way this is overall, but it is a premium offering. So you know it, if you love it, from the design perspective, they're going to execute it well. This is no exception. So really, really nice job from Kizer once again. And whoever this designer is, I kind of liking it. It's a little different. It's just a combination of things that I haven't seen. And just the fact that he consciously decided to raise that fat carbon above the frame, it kind of gives this like three-dimensional look that's a little bizarre, but I like it. You know what I mean? It's got a plenty of lock bar access, which is very, very helpful. I don't feel any issues with having that frame lock. It's tucked in a way that I'm not hitting it by accident. The action is really good. Yeah, what more to say? I mean, just a nicely executed knife. And to cap it all off, he kept it under 3 inches. Oh wait, he does say who it is. So it's this guy, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it, but good job. Well done. I like it a lot. So yeah, the Feeweed. Terrible name, but a great knife. I've been really happy with Kizer's approach to budget fixed blades, mostly because the last few that they've released have had some of the better sheaths that I've seen come with a knife. A lot of times, sheath makes or breaks how you carry that knife, and this is exactly the way it should be every time when it comes to small knives. So with taco style sheath, meaning it's folded over, meaning there's not going to be a bunch of extra rivet sections at the top. There is a proper ramp for you to push off the way it should be, and a really good positive click. I mean, they really executed it well. What's cool is you'll see, like, watch how it expands as you push it in. See that? So it collapses just right. So if you wanted to increase the tension, all you have to do is drill a hole, put another set of screws right there, and you can squeeze it even tighter. So as you pull it out, if I hold it, it's not going to open. So you can actually adjust this even more than it already is. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the generic tech lock style. I think for the small knife, in pocket is the way to go, cross body or whatever it happens to be. So this has micarta handles. I like how form-fitting they are. This is not my favorite of the releases so far. I think it's a little bit on the small side, but yet it's very stout. Like it's small, but it's not slim. So it's kind of it's kind of competing with itself. I feel like if this was a narrower stock and a thinner blade, I would like it a lot more. I think they were going for kind of the outdoors appeal with that extra stout D2 blade. Very, very comfortable in hand with the micarta, but I do prefer the hair, which was probably my favorite of their new releases. This is definitely going to be great to have because it kind of matches the even smaller and trimmer needs of someone out there. So if someone wants a smaller fixed blade, this will definitely work for them. Overall, I mean, there's not much more to say. I mean, it's a really well executed knife. It's got jimping in multiple positions, although it's not super aggressive. Nice stout blade here. Came very, very sharp out of the box, as all Kizers do. It actually has a decent sharpening choil. Color me impressed. And the execution on the micarta is also pretty nicely done. So overall, really, really good job. And once again, discrete carry concepts clip makes this thing just perfect. Let me show you what I'm talking about real quick. So this is the kind of clip that I'm talking about. This is from Discrete Carry Concepts. They work so insanely well. You can actually put them in the waistband and it'll wrap around your belt, or that little piece of metal will actually dig into your pocket. So when you stick it in your front pocket like so, it just goes into one shot, and then you can pull out the knife and the sheath never comes out with it. This is a great sheath for that. And I'm just so pleased that Kizer's listening, because this is excellent. This is exactly what they need to do. For the future, it's generic, yeah, but it's always going to be appealing because they execute on the sheath. God, it's so important. I cannot emphasize enough how important a sheath is to a fixed blade knife. Anyway, moving on, the Beaver from Kizer, definitely 2 thumbs up. Okay, now here is a weird one. So on the positive notes, once again, phenomenal sheath. They did it exactly the way they should do it. For this specific type of knife, I think they executed it well. Your hand is positioned correctly, regardless of which way you have it. So once you grab it, you're already ready to rock and roll. So all of that is great. It's just a really bizarre knife. They did put the cutouts in the correct place for your hand position, because a lot of times this circle is bent too far back and you actually can't get a comfortable grip, but this does not have that issue. So that's good. But why do we combine a cutout with a cleaver style blade, right? it doesn't fit the aesthetic at all. I mean, basically, we should be looking like that, right? We should be pointier than heck. Like, that's what this blade needs to be for this style. Now, if you just really like having that little thumb section, great. But this is not a quote-unquote defensive knife, all right? You need a point, and this doesn't have one. That's my only real qualms with it. Otherwise, I like it. So the little Rhino, it's a good executed knife. It's just I just don't get it. I just don't really get it. Maybe you guys can help me in the comments, because a blade shape like this wants to have kind of clearance so that you can actually use it for food prep, maybe, right? Except that, look what happens. Like, this doesn't touch anything because this cutout is there. I mean, if you literally remove that, then you almost have it, but even then it's curved down, so it's still going to kind of prevent the cutting edge from coming into contact with the surface. It's just, I don't get this one. Maybe you guys can help me. If I have a knife that's going to have this kind of cutout, it's going to be pointy as hell. And it's going to be at least 3.9 inches long. It's going to be as long as I can make it, because the type of knife that would be, I want to have every advantage possible. This just feels like combining one blade shape with one handle and just seeing what happens. Great sheath, though. I will give them 2 thumbs up for the sheath. Just a huge head scratcher on what this knife is going to be used for. That's basically what it comes down to. Now, the last knife was kind of confusing, but there's nothing confusing about this one. It's called a tomb, and it looks like a crypt, which I think is probably the more apt name, but it looks like, you know what the reference is. Like, it looks like a casket, or they could have called it a casket maybe. But anyway, it's called a tomb, and it is a front flipper only. The ratios here, I actually prefer having a larger handle, very comfortable in hand. As far as the length is concerned, I have one qualm with it. When it comes to ergos, we'll get to in a minute. So we have what's called Damascus, which is G10. That's kind of in a Damascus pattern. Very, very cool. There are a couple other combinations of materials. There is Ultim, and I want to say carbon fiber. I'm not exactly sure. Very, very fidgety, very, very fun. And that's exactly what this knife is designed to be. I think it's just a fun knife. Now, in some ways, I think this was a perfect opportunity to go with the purple and black Damascus with orange buttons, right? To kind of capture the whole Halloween theme into it. But there are some really cool versions of this knife, and it is definitely a cool knife. Like, it's just a fun knife, right? It's not trying to be the best at anything in particular. It's made of good material, so we have Nitro V blade steel. It's got great ergos. You certainly can use it for things, but I think it's more themed, and I'm down for that, because there's just a lot of knives on the market, and just it's cool to differentiate yourself. I have to say one qualm with it. Now, this could be different depending on the material that you buy, but I found that all of these edges, especially right here, here, and on the back here, were incredibly sharp in these grooves. More so than I expected them to be, so they're not particularly knocked down. It's not hard to fix this problem with a little bit of sandpaper, but just be aware of it. You may have that issue with your version. Maybe not. This might have been a unique instance, but I think that it's something of note. Otherwise, no real issues with the knife. It's centered. It's nice and sharp out of the box. The jimping is good. It is a front flipper design. They did put the jimping all the way around, as they should. And if you want, you can even take a diamond file and make this a little bit sharper, which is what I tend to do, because I really like it to bite well without any slippage. So overall, fine knife. Nice themed approach, and another cool offering from Kizer. Now, I usually get rid of most of the knives that come on this channel through my Whatnot streams twice a month, but this one might survive the culling. I really, really like it. So you have a 3.2 inch Nitro V blade, nice thin stock, full flat grind, clutch lock in this case, which is the same as a crossbar, except that they are adjustable. There's actually little holes so you can change the tension on the springs. Love that. This has micarta as well as aluminum bolsters, and I kind of like the finish. It actually comes like that. So it's kind of beaten around the edges, kind of patinaed already. So if you, in case you're wondering, that's not me doing it. That's actually a finish that they meant to put on it. So something to keep in mind. And I like it. I actually really like it. I didn't think I would. I've been falling in love with the drop bear in wood handles in Nitro V, which is what I've been carrying, you know, off and on. But this knife is done very, very well. First of all, I'm a big sucker for a clip point. Anytime that you have a clip point, I'm a happy camper. And it's just something about this knife. I think it could have a lot to do with the fact that I still regret selling the large Mystic in S90V. This budget variation, I think is quite nice. Even though it's 3.2 inches, that's kind of, like I said, it's kind of right in the middle as far as blade lengths are concerned. It has a really nice forward sharpening choil. It's got a really nice micarta handles. Yeah, I think this is a really good offering. So if you're looking for something with a crossbar that's a little bit different, maybe in a clip point design, a little bit more pokey, this might be the thing to go for. Let me know what you think. All right, so we have the Mini Mystic, we have the Tome, we have the Momo, the Mini Momo, the something I don't want to pronounce with a phi wood, the Beaver, the Mini Rhino, I believe this is the Little Rhino, I should say, fixed blade. And I think that was all of it. So I'm curious to hear which one you liked the best, if any of these interest you, or if it's just a wash. As always, thank you guys for your time, and we'll talk again soon.